You're listening to the God Life Culture podcast, where faith
and what's trending collide. Episode of the Guy Life Culture podcast. This is Eddie.
What's up, everyone? This is Miguel, and we are so thankful that you are tuned in for another episode of the God Life Culture podcast. Welcome back to another episode. If this is your first time listening, we want to say welcome to the God Life Culture podcast,
Yes.
right? We have a lot of first time listeners these last few weeks and people that keep jumping on board. So we want to say thank you for tuning in, for listening, and for checking out, this podcast.
Yeah, and the same things goes out to our first time watchers. So if you're watching us for the first time, welcome to our YouTube page or to our Reels. We've been pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
You can find us. And we're just excited for all the great things that are going on.
Yeah, and if you are tuned in and you enjoy what you're listening to, be sure to subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, comment, share, do all of the things. If you're listening to us on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, be sure to subscribe and follow us there so you can be notified every week whenever we drop a new episode. We are just coming out from Easter weekend, right? Resurrection Sunday. And, I know a lot of times this is a weekend that a lot of churches have a lot of things happening, programs, events, just people within their families, right? That have, gatherings and special events. So definitely it was a nice Easter and nice time with family, with friends. Yeah. And, I just hope that all of you listening and watching as well enjoyed your weekend.
Yeah. And, this is the day after Resurrection Sunday or Easter Sunday. Yeah. A lot of churches do productions, or they do the worship team does a big set, or so this is like the day where people get to relax. True. It's kind of like, woof, we got it done, all the rehearsals are out of the way, everything is done, they get a little break, and then maybe the next big thing is Mother's Day, if they do a Mother's Day special program. So it gives them a couple of weeks to catch a break and to just rest.
Yeah. And I think this is, the time of the year, at least for me as a teacher, where the school year starts flying. Yeah. It's like spring break right now. So a lot of people have off, teachers and students. But after this, it's already the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. It's already time, to start wrapping up the school year. And that means summer is approaching. It is on its way.
Yeah. Very true. And I think the good thing is, usually, it's also the time of year where travel picks up. So everybody starts their vacations and we're going to go here for the summer, even if it's the weekend trips. Doesn't mean you're flying to Cabo or you're going to the Bahamas. It's people go to the Virginia beaches, or they go to, maybe they drive down to Florida. So it's the time of year where things start to kick up. Yeah. And I think also, given unless things change, because a lot of the restrictions, because of the pandemic, have been lifted, it's kind of maybe the real first summer back. Yeah. So people, I'm sure, are going to go buck.
Yeah, and people are catching up, right?
Yes.
They haven't seen certain people in a long time, in 2 years, or they haven't traveled, and this is their first year where they can travel. Yeah. And a lot of the, the things that come with that, we see are social media posts, right? And we get to see where people are posting and where they're going, and you get to see them packing. And for a lot of times, I think we've all been there. You're watching someone else getting ready for their trip while you're at your office or at your desk, or, with your kids at home, right? And there's someone getting ready and they're in their matching airport outfits, they're matching luggage, and they're taking their airport picture. And you're, again, at home, over a hot stove, cooking for your family, or trying to keep the kids together, or trying to plan something. And, your work obligations or home obligations have you tied up at the moment. Yeah. But I think this is a feeling that, we can all resonate with. True. And it falls under this new term, right? That I think it's, the idea is not new, but the term is real trendy now and kind of, picking up now. And it's the idea of FOMO.
Yes.
We have heard this before. The fear of missing out. Yeah. And what comes to mind when you hear FOMO? What do you think of?
I think initially when you think of the word FOMO, and it means different things to different people. But I just think it's the idea of, oh man, I wish I was there. Yeah. Whatever it is. It could be a fun activity like a vacation. It could be a concert. It could be a party. It could be a service. Like maybe this is really great like service happening, next town over. You can't make it.
Yeah.
Anything. It's just it's a moment, an opportunity, an experience that you wish you were taking part of, and for whatever reason you were not.
Yeah. I remember it actually just came to me as you were talking. The one recent time I guess I felt FOMO was a few I want to say a few months back. I think it was like November, the beginning of December. There was a concert happening. I believe it was in New York in the Barclays Center. It was like Maverick. It was Israel. It was a bunch of artists and like gospel artists. Yeah. And they were so close and so many people. That was at the time where there was so many like different restrictions and you needed to be vaccinated, all these different things. And a lot of people I knew, and even from our church, had gone.
True, true,
and they were posting videos. And I just remember being at home like, oh, I wish I was there, But this idea of FOMO, right? The fear of missing out. There's so many different definitions and the way people describe it, but it's a worry or an anxiety that a person feels when they think they are missing out on something exciting or important, which is what you said. But another definition I saw that I thought was very interesting was the fear that not participating is the wrong choice.
Oh, that's true too. Yes.
So we'll get into that. This idea that, you're choosing not to do something and then it's like after the fact, there's this fear of, did I do the wrong thing? Did I make the wrong choice? Should I have participated? Should I have gone? Should I have, so I think, when we talk about FOMO, a lot of times, like you said, it means different things to different people. There's so many different ways that people experience this. I think the biggest way right now we experience this is through social media. Because a lot of times we won't know what other people are doing, where they're going, where they're at, who they're with, unless we see it on social media, right? If you were to delete your social media apps, would you still know and be connected to what everybody around you is doing within your circles? For some of us, maybe you have strong relationships that you'll connect anyway. Somehow, some way, you'll see them in person often and ask and catch up. But for others, I think a big, this issue of FOMO may just disappear, right? if you just didn't know what other people were doing around you.
Yeah, it's very true. And I think that it really depends on personalities. Yeah. I think that there are people that suffer from FOMO and for going down the route that you're speaking of. And it's that FOMO was triggered to them because of social media. Then it's true. If they didn't have social media to begin with, then they wouldn't know what they were missing out on. They wouldn't know what, things were going on that they feel like they should have been invited to or would have wanted to go to, or maybe were invited to go to it, but for whatever reason they weren't given, they couldn't, whether it be financial, commitment wise, or whatever. And then there are others that are just, they always want to know what's going on. So the social media aspect of it wouldn't even matter because they're just the type of people that the fear of missing out is so ingrained in their personality that social media is just an active participant of that bad habit that they have.
Yeah. And I think there's so many different, levels, right, to FOMO and topics like this, because I think there is a normal, natural, healthy version of, missing out. Being, fearful of missing an opportunity, right? And I think that, some of those feelings and emotions and thoughts, it's definitely okay. Yeah. Right? I think, which is crazy because in researching and just looking at a few things, they've actually, a lot of medical journals and scientists have diagnosed this as an actual social disorder. So this isn't just kind of like, I think a lot of times people would just say things like, oh my God, major FOMO, right? But for some individuals, right, medically, they actually, this is a social disorder that they suffer from because it triggers a whole bunch of different side effects, whether it's anxiety, depression, sadness, loneliness, and it goes down that whole path, right? So I think that's when it becomes unhealthy, right? When I have this fear of missing out because I'm looking at what somebody else is doing. I'm looking at someone else's perfect reel, perfect photo, perfect post on Instagram, on social media, and then I immediately begin to feel negative feelings, right? Yes. Whether it's negative feelings about myself, negative feelings about those individuals, negative feelings about my life, about, what am I doing with myself? I'm such a loser. I haven't accomplished anything. I haven't reached my goals. Look how great they look and I don't look like that. Or look at where they're at. I've never eaten that type of food before and I want to, right? I've never been there. I've never been to that restaurant. And again, that's where it becomes unhealthy, where like always, you need to stop, check, and reflect. Like, okay, where are these feelings coming from?
Yeah, and I think it's true, and it's there are people that unfortunately they feel the whole gambit, which is that they feel the self-loathing, and then they also start hating on other individuals and feeling a certain type of way about it. I would think that the majority of the time, people, what it does, it triggers the self-loathing. Why don't I have the flexibility? Why don't I have the financial stability? Why don't I have the time? Why don't I have the this? And they start reflecting on their lives, but from a negative introspection, which then causes them to see everything in their life as a problem, and they wish they can do what other people are able to do, without realizing that when it comes to like reels, when it comes to social media, those are just snapshots of random moments.
Yeah.
Number one. So that picture that looks perfect, maybe edited. Maybe it was their 900th picture because they were there for 3 hours trying to get a good picture. And it's also like you don't know what that person went through to get to that moment where they could enjoy that dragon fruit, because you've never had dragon fruit in your life. It's kind of like, those are the little things that people pick up on. And I think that when you then take the aspect or, the point of view to then feel negatively about the people that are enjoying life, quote unquote, based off of what they're showing on social media, that also is not the right way to go about it either. Because I think that at the end of the day, the things that we consume in life, whether it be through literature, whether it be through visual entertainment, whether it be through whatever, how we interact in our social circles should not cause us to feel negative about ourselves or those around us. So when you're having a situation like social media that's making you feel negative about yourself or the people that are quote unquote in your circle, that's kind of like where you need to be like, whoa, I need to take a break. So whether it is, there's this big thing about people announcing their, social media fast. I'm going on a break.
The purge.
Yeah,
call it a purge.
So if you don't see me for 3 days, it's because I'm on a social media fast. So it's kind of like maybe you do actually need to do that. Mm-hmm. Take a break. See, maybe the time that allots you now that you're no longer on social media for that long of a time, which maybe gives you free time to kind of put some stuff in order in your life to then be able to take advantages of certain things. Maybe you won't be able to take that train ride, across the United States that they did, but maybe you take a train ride into the city. Maybe you won't be able to fly, to the Caribbean, but there's other things that you can do that bring you joy, that make you feel like you're enjoying life, that don't make you feel like you're stuck. And I think that for people that are, career oriented, or people that have a lot going on in church and leadership, and on top of the fact that they're juggling a family and all that other stuff, it can be difficult sometimes to enjoy the finer things, quote unquote, in life. And because of that, you need to make a conscious effort to figure out how to put that into your schedule.
Yeah, and I think it's really about the lens that you choose to look at your life and the life of others with.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think it really is all about perspective. So when you see a post on Instagram or you see a post on social media, and again, it's people's highlight reel, right? Mm-hmm. It's a lot of times, we hear this often, people don't post their bad days. They don't post, their horrible moments. And I think that's why when people sometimes do that, right, people love it. Right. When people post, this happens a lot with like creatives and things, like when they post like their writer's block and they'll put like a notebook with like, a few words written down, and they're expressing, I really just have writer's block. I can't write. People love stuff like that. Right. Or when people are designing something and they're stuck with the design, or they say like, this design is taking me so long, I want to give up. People love that. And I think it's because of the relatability where, they obviously can feel similar emotions. But for the most part, social media is used to put your best foot forward. You know what I mean? To post the best part of your day, the best part of your life, the best part of your vacation. And I think when you forget and you look at it from a lens of this is real life and this is what they're actually living and going through, and this is what you begin to develop this narrative in your head that's not true. You develop this story in your mind about these people that you see or about these reels or about life and about yourself that's not true. Like you said, I'm sure we're all guilty of posting on social media and posting a great picture, but in our minds, when we look at that picture, we know of the headache we went through that day, or we know what we were feeling that day, or we know the struggle it was to get to that place, or the 25 things that didn't work out the way we wanted to, but nobody else sees that. Again, what lens are you using to consume information? What lens are you using to, get to these conclusions of their life is so much better than mine, or I am missing out? And I truly believe that as you get older as well, and into your 20s and late 20s and 30s, I think, this is something that you really have to battle and kind of confront the idea of, did I make the right decisions in my life? Should I have gone, to a different school? Should I have chose a different career path? Should I have chosen a different state to live in? And all of these different things. And then looking at other people, living a successful life, living in a beautiful home, having this job and that job, it can be discouraging at times, right? If you let it.
Yes.
Just recently, I was, over, some family's house. And we had a lot of people we hadn't seen in a long time. And again, people that you see on social media that they post the best part of themselves. So this individual, every time I see a post, they are dressed, like they belong in a magazine. They are smiling, they're encouraging, they're motivating. And it was funny because hearing them, talk about their job, this is a part of their job, right? And their job has nothing to do really with social media, right? They expressed, I can't wait till I'm done. I can't wait till I'm out of this place. And in my mind, I was like, really? Because on social media, it's like there are people that I'm sure look at you and wish that they had what you had, and you're here resenting it, and you're here talking about how hard it is and how difficult and the struggles, and you just can't wait to get out.
Yeah.
We don't see that, right? So people are feeling bad about themselves, wishing they had that suit, wishing they had those shoes, wishing they had that watch. And here you are with all of those things, taking the pictures and smiling, but you're miserable and can't wait to get out of this job.
Yeah. And I think that the thing with that is that joy isn't found always in the materialistic stuff. You will find people that are living a life that is below the poverty line, or maybe don't have a huge house, or don't have a this, or don't have a that are enjoying life.
Yeah.
The same way that you find the people that have the millions and have the social media following and the influence and all that other stuff who are miserable, and I think that you will find people that have an amazing job and find work to be tough. Then you have people that have this, what we would consider to be a super easy job, and find work to be tough too. I think at the end of the day, people will find a reason to be upset or tired or complain, because that's just part of human nature. So those are the things that we just have to always, it's like that's something that can't be on the slate. One of the other things that I think about also is the idea that what would help people that suffer with FOMO be able to move along in life a lot better would be if they came to the realization that life isn't fair. There are some people that maybe made all the wrong decisions in the world, but for some reason they landed in all the right places. And, you maybe made all the right decisions in your life, but it didn't work out the way that you thought it was going to work out, the way that you had it planned. And if you sit there loathing on all those things, on maybe I should have not did this, maybe I should have went for a different career path or whatever, you never find the opportunity to, number one, just enjoy the moments in which you're living in now. And then number two, create a habit or create an opportunity to make a change and a difference in your life. It's so, you don't realize, a lot of people don't realize that when you sit down to complain, or you sit down to self-loathe, or you sit down to hate on other people and situations, how much time you waste doing that. If you took that same energy and applied it to bettering your life, listen, you would be unstoppable. And I think that's the biggest thing with FOMO, that a lot of people experience FOMO and it creates a cage for them, instead of it creating a motivation and inspiring them to do better. So if you're in this person that's experiencing FOMO, or you see something that causes you to fear FOMO, the fear of missing out and all that, the feelings that come with that, maybe you need to take a step back and just evaluate your life. Like, maybe I need to get more organized. If I got more organized, it would free up some more time for me to then be able to do more extracurricular activities. Or maybe I need to look at my finances. Maybe, I'm putting money in things that I don't need to be putting it in. You know what? If I switched a couple of things around, it may free up, access money for me to go take a trip, or for me to go watch a show in the city. Let it cause you to self-reflect in a positive way so you can make the changes. Because at the end of the day, if you're not happy where you are in life, that's okay. People find themselves in those positions, many times throughout their life. But let's create an opportunity for you to do something about it.
And I think it's also recognizing that this may just be a season that you're going through.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
So you're looking at someone else's, accomplishment and someone else's life and family and home and job and all these different things, and everything's going great for them. They're winning. And then you compare it to your life and you see that you're losing, and it's almost like, again, it's not fair, but this may just be a season that's tough for you right now, and this is their winning season. But you didn't get to see the season where they struggled, and the season where things were not fair, and the season where they were in the same place as you were.
Yeah, but I think that the more important thing is to not measure yourself by someone else's ruler. Don't measure, the only way I'll be happy is if I have a private jet, because you follow people on social media that have private jets. The chances of you getting a private jet, I'm sorry, it's slim to none. So that if you never get a private jet, will you never be happy in life, regardless of all the accomplishments you get? So I think that that's the real important thing, that you really have to just look at your life, understand your status in the world, understand where you fall, and be like, you know what? I may not be able at the moment, unless something crazy happens, afford a private jet, get a mansion, not have to work and just experience life. I may not be able to do that now. So what are the moments in life that I can enjoy? What are the social events that I can attend and find joy in? What are the things that I can do to make my life more happier?
Yeah. And I think one of the negative side effects, right, of FOMO, instead of, we have this fear of missing out on things. Yeah. So because of that fear, we begin to say yes to everything.
Oh, that's true.
And it's almost like we develop, instead of FOMO, it's almost like this fear in a way, or like this drive to do everything and anything. Mm-hmm. So I think, a lot of times people may have this attitude towards like young adults or teens where they feel like, young adult Christians and teens who feel like, they're missing out on having fun because they got to go to church and they're Christian and they can't do certain things, but the world has so much fun and, I'm missing out on that. So they like to kind of, throw the narrative of that's why they go and try things and that's why they do things and that's why they partake in things, because they feel like they're missing out, right? Where yes, that could be true, right? I think even into adulthood, we may carry some of those same habits and thoughts where we feel like every opportunity that comes our way needs our yes. Every idea that comes our way needs for us to do it now. And we begin to say yes to all these different things because we feel that the minute we say no to one thing, we've missed out on our opportunity. That could have been the time where I could have gotten into that job. That could have been the time where my ministry could have exploded. That could be the time where all these people would come to know about my gift and who I am. And we begin to kind of fall into the trap of just saying yes all the time because we fear that if we say no, we're going to say no at the wrong time to the wrong opportunity that would have been the one to propel us to where we wanted to be or for us to get to that place.
Yeah, and that's a really bad mentality, because I think about if you apply that in ministry, like when, how was doing their thing and like miming and going to different events and stuff like that. If every day of the week you had to go to New Jersey, you had to go to PA, you had to go to this, that you have to constantly be going places, you never create an opportunity for rest. You never create an opportunity for, to relax creatively. You never create an opportunity to build on yourself. And sometimes there are places that you should not be going to, period. So when we apply that in ministry, I think it's important to understand that in reality, you should be allowing yourself to be guided by the Holy Spirit. Yeah. So if you don't feel good about going to a certain place just because they invited you, you should not be going. And I think this is stuff that we've spoken about in other episodes in the pod. But then when you apply that to your life, sometimes you shouldn't just be going to everything just to go. Because if you really don't want to be there, you're going to be miserable. It's going to be a complete waste of time. You're not going to be happy. You're going to be put in social situations that you didn't really want to be. But for the fact that, I don't know, I just want to be in the know in case something goes down. It's kind of like, that's a waste of time.
There are people that simply go to a bunch of social events all the time. And, they have FOMO, but they're actually there. It's not that they're missing out. It's that they're literally there, but have the fear that if they don't go and if they're not there, they're missing out on something. Yeah. They're going to miss out on either, the latest gossip, the latest rumor, the news, what's going on. But also, I think it's also a stem or root in insecurity, where you're not secure or confident in friendships or in relationships, that you have a fear that if I say no, you know, they may get mad at me and our friendship may break up. They won't invite me ever again. If I say no, or if I actually admit and be honest that I'm tired today, that it's not that I don't want to be there, it's just that I'm really tired, you know, they're not going to invite me again, and then I'm going to miss out, and then I want to be there, and I want to be their friend, and they're my friend, and I need friends, and I don't want, you know, it's a whole cycle of negative emotions. So then we push ourselves to the limit, right? So then we say yes, we go, we're there, we're exhausted, we're tired. The next day we have to do something else. And then another, you know, opportunity comes up, another invitation comes up, we say yes, and it's this cycle of saying yes to all of these different places and all these different things that demand a lot from us. Because reality is, you're there, right? And okay, you don't have FOMO because you're actually there, you're not missing out, but are the people around you getting the healthiest version of you? You know, are the people around you benefiting from who you are in that moment? Because I can say yes to a lot of things, but if I'm tired, if I'm cranky, if I'm not feeling well, am I going to deliver? Am I going to give my 100%?
Yeah, and I mean, maybe, I don't know, but I also look at things sometimes from the lens of the financial aspect, which is sometimes you can't say yes to everything because you can't afford it. So even though you can be there physically and be the best you, but then you go home and now you don't have money because, you know, you just spent it at this restaurant that everybody decided to go to, plus it was someone's birthday, so you had to get them a gift, and then they decided to split that person's bill, so now that added to your bill. You know, there's a lot of times that happens, and I remember there was a time where there was a lot happening. There was a lot of parties, a lot of birthdays, a lot of chelchas and Audis and stuff like that, and it had to be like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to go to some of those. Did it, you know, was it like, oh, that kind of sucks because I would really want to go, but it was like, it's either that or I'm gonna be broke and it was like, all right, some things I'm not gonna be able to go to, and that's okay. And especially when you have good relationships with these people, you can say that. You be like, hey, I'm gonna sit this, you know, I'm not gonna be able to go with you guys to the city tomorrow because, you know, it's just, I'm broke, I don't got it this week, you know, maybe next time. And if you guys have really good relationships, they're supposed to understand that. Maybe they'll be like, don't worry about it, I got you, but don't bank on that. They're not gonna always have you. Well, sometimes they'll say, don't worry, I got you. Other times they'll be like, oh no, I get it, I understand, that was me last week. You know, so you have to be also able, because, you know, don't break bank and don't try to put, you know, this show that, oh, I can afford it, I can go here, I can go there, I can do all this other stuff. For what? For what? So that then you're complaining that you can't finish, you know, paying your bills for the month.
And at the end of the day, if you're doing it to impress those people, if you're doing it because you want to keep them around, if you're doing it because it'll make a great social media post, it's like all of those reasons aren't the right reasons. You know, and I think, you know, a lot of times you can fall into that trap, especially with the financial aspect of things. I think even as, you know, adults do this too, but I look from the perspective, I guess, of, you know, teaching, you know, at a school in high school, you know, Kanye drops the latest sneakers, Yeezys, you know, the latest, you know, this, the latest that. It's like they're there wanting to buy it. It's $400, $500. Sometimes it's their money that they saved up. Sometimes it's not their money, and it's like no big deal. It's their parents. Who cares, right?
Lucky them.
But, you know, it's this whole idea of I need to get those sneakers. I need to get this, latest drop, latest this, latest that. And again, you carry that into adulthood where it becomes, we need the latest model of this. We need this type of couch. We need this type of house. We need this type of car. And it's this image that you know, try to put forth because, again, the fear of missing out, you know, the fear of missing out on not having these things, the fear of missing out of not being able to say that I have, you know, this car, this house, this type of job, the fear of missing out on, you know, people of high class and prestige because these are the type of people we, you know, associate with, right? Again, there's so many different reasons why we do things. And I think, like always, one of the things, you know, I love about what we do and what we talk about is because in whatever topic it is, there's always room for self-reflection, right? Because that's what it really comes down to, where whether it's FOMO, you know, whether it's, you know, the feelings of anxiety, of loneliness, why are we feeling these things? Why is it that when I go on social media, I start feeling these negative emotions? What is it saying about myself? And it's giving yourself grace to know it's not that you want to beat yourself up. It's not that you want to say, yeah, it's because, you know, I'm lonely and I'm depressed and I stink and I can't speak right and I can't, you know, keep a job and I didn't get an education. I grew up with no parents. I grew up with no sibling, right? Like you can go down the list of things that didn't go right in your life. But it's really going beyond that where it's like, okay, but even with all of that, why is this an issue for me? Like, what then can I do to fix this? How can I overcome these feelings? You know, why do I, you know, want a vacation so bad? You know, is it because I'm working and working and working and not resting? Is it because my mind is constantly going and I'm just mentally drained and tired and don't really want a vacation? I just want to be able to shut my mind off.
Yeah.
Right. So there are things that I think we just say, like, I need a vacation. You don't really need a vacation. I just think you need to be away for like 2 days and not think about your issue or think about your job or think about your situation.
True.
So oftentimes I think it's not so much the fear of missing out, it's everything else that comes before that feeling.
True.
Right.
And you know, what I was thinking was, the funny thing is that, you know, if the fear of missing out was used for the positive, especially when we think about it in the spiritual realm, you know, what if you felt FOMO for not making it to a church service?
Yeah.
What if you felt FOMO because you forgot to pray one day? What if you forgot FOMO because you didn't read the word one day? You know, like, if those were the things that we felt FOMO about, it'll be completely different.
Yeah.
You know, it'll be like, oh snap, no, you know, it'll cause you to be more responsible in the spiritual realm if that's what you did.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we feel FOMO about things that honestly aren't really that important.
Yeah.
You know, they're like the fun things, the shiny stuff that looks, you know, entertaining and everything, but they aren't things that are going to help you in life. Really, it's not going to provide you that much growth, really, 9 times out of 10, unless it's like a career opportunity or certain things like that. And it's like, man, if we just put that energy, and I keep saying this, if we flip that energy and put it into something positive, put it into something constructive or something to lift yourself up, you would be indestructible. But because we allow in our humanness to let our negative feelings and emotions take control of us, it's just wasted time and opportunity.
Yeah, and it's funny because my dad says that a lot. The idea of, you know, people not coming to a church service, let's say, and it's like, man, you know, maybe this was a day that prayer that you've been asking God for, he was going to answer you today. And you just, because you didn't want to come, obviously there are reasons sometimes you can't be there, but if you just choose not to because you just don't feel like it, man, today really could have been the day. Have FOMO and say, you know what, I need to be there because this may be the day, this may be the moment, this may be the opportunity. And it's so true. It's almost like how to transfer all of those feelings and energy into the right place. You know, and I think it really comes down to you having to decide what matters. What really matters. Is it the shiny stuff? Is it the material possessions? Is it the friendships and the relationships and the connections? Is it the career? What is it that matters to you the most and why? Because when it comes down to it, there are people that are very ambitious, people that have goals, dreams, and aspirations that they want to accomplish everything. They want to be this, they want to be that. They want to be able to go here, they want to be able to go there and be successful and effective. And all of those things are great. But what if you weren't called to do all of those things?
True.
Are you okay with saying yes to the one thing, no to everything else, and being secure and confident that, you know what, this is the thing that God called me to. So I have to trust and not have the FOMO that I'm missing out on other blessings and opportunities because this is where God called me to. And I think that a big, you know, a portion of FOMO and a big thing is knowing that FOMO will begin to eat away at you being content, at you being satisfied, at you being happy, and ultimately is basically telling God, I don't trust you. I think that this path is better. I think this plan is better because if I do this, if I do that, I'll get the results I want. This will happen. I'll make these connections. But it seems like, God, the path you want me on makes no sense. And how is that going to help me? Where is that going to bring me? And ultimately, you're saying, God, I don't trust you. I don't trust that you have a plan and a purpose. I don't trust that financially you provide, that you give me, you know, the joy, you give me the strength.
Yeah, when I hear that, and I agree with what you're saying, but I also think that a lot of times it's not that deep. It really comes down to it's a bad habit that people have.
Well, I think it's not deep as far as maybe sometimes material possessions, right? But I think once you get away from things that maybe are very artificial and now it's real life things, like your actual life. Forget about your shoes, your sneakers, but, you know, God wants you to do A. And you really don't want to do A because you don't like what that entails. So you think, God, really? Like, I think I am a great this, or I think this is what I should be doing. And it's almost like, if I don't go this route, is it going to work out for me? You know, am I missing out on, you know, the the blessings that seem obvious in this direction, where I think a lot of times that's where FOMO, I think is a little more serious, where it's away from like what you're wearing.
But that's that's then entering disobedience. That's really what it comes down to. Then you're entering a realm of disobedience and not trusting in God, and thinking that you know better than He does.
Yeah.
But when I think that when we speak about FOMO, it's really more of an internal struggle. It's not a thing where God is telling you to do something and then you're deciding to do something else. It's really more you envisioning certain things for yourself that you see other people have and other people are experiencing and want to experience them too, but don't know how to get there. So instead of you creating a path to get closer to what that means to experience those things, you sit there and you self-loathe, you sit there and you complain and all that other stuff.
I agree with you. And I think that there are people that sit there and do those things, right? But then I believe there are people that don't sit and loathe, they act.
Negatively? Like you're saying on a negative thing, or?
Well, no, it doesn't always have to be negative. But again, it's disobedience. So instead of sitting and loathing and being upset at myself that I'm not this person, I'm going to go out and be a version of myself that God did not create me to be. But I'm doing that because I fear that I'm missing out on opportunities. I fear that I'm missing out on things. So instead of just sitting back and not really doing anything but being upset, I'm actually moving forward with stuff that I wasn't technically called to do right now or wasn't meant to do right now. But I'm doing it because I fear that if I don't do this, I'm missing out on what I think these things will bring me.
Okay. I don't disagree with you. I do.
I know we're saying the same thing.
I think so. I think we're just going in circles. But at the end of the day, what we're really, trying to get across to everyone is that the idea of FOMO is something that no one should feel ashamed about.
Yeah.
Everybody experience it, whether it's something huge or something like simple, whatever it is. These are feelings and emotions and experiences that we all have. But what we're encouraging people to do is really take the opportunity to create a better space for yourself, a better mental environment for yourself, a better emotional place for yourself, where you can find joy and peace in the things that you are able to partake in. Yeah. And if you want to do better and you do want to strive for more and for greatness, then put in the work to do that. And it may not be, and be happy in the journey of it. You may not get to X, Y, and Z that quick, but in the process, in the middle of everything, there's things to find joy in. And, and going along with what you were saying, I think that at the end of the day, in everything we do and every decision we want to make, we have to make sure it aligns with what God wants for us as well.
Yeah.
So don't take this as me saying, I'm not, no fear of missing out. I'm gonna create my own opportunities. I'm just gonna get up and move and do this and do that. Did God even want that for you? Like, were you even supposed to do that? Were you supposed to be waiting? Because like you said in the beginning, there are seasons and moments that we have in our lives where unfortunately we're not able to partake in certain things, and you need to be okay with that. You need to be okay with the fact that, this is just my season where I have to sit out on a couple of things. And I'm trusting in God that an opportunity is going to be created where then I'll be able to jump back into the swing of things. So in all of it, it really is about finding joy, finding peace in the moments and the opportunities that you have around you. And if you have the ability to shift things around, shift them around. And as always, just make sure that everything you do is directed by God.
And listen, I mean, Paul is the best example of this. And this is something that even as you read it, it's like it sounds so cute, but it's so hard to live. When he says Philippians 4, I'm not saying this because I am in need, for I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstance. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all this through him who gives me strength.
Amen.
And that sounds so nice, but when you are in the middle of FOMO, it's so hard, Yeah. But again, it's learning, and going back to that song, Jireh, all 9 minutes and 43 seconds of that song, it's the idea that you have to learn to be content.
Yes.
And ask God, help me be content. Help me. It's hard to just be like, if this is what my life is right now, then it's okay.
Yeah. And to let go of the idea of what it could have been.
Yeah.
You need to let it go.
Yeah.
Don't stay in the could have, would have, should have's.
Yeah.
And just be like, the moment passed, the opportunity passed. Maybe something would have happened, but it didn't. You know what? Yeah. We don't know. Let's keep it moving.
And you can do all that through Christ who gives you strength.
Amen. So with that, I think it's the perfect way to end. So we want to thank you for tuning in to the latest episode of the God Life Culture Podcast. As always, you can catch us.
Yes, follow us on social media at God Life Culture Podcast on Facebook and on Instagram. If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, share. Send this podcast to someone today. Find us on Instagram, find our reels, share our reels, spread it around, and thank you again for being a part of this podcast journey. Tune in every Monday for a brand new episode.
Yeah, so thank you once again for tuning into the latest episode of the God Life Culture Podcast. That's
God Life Culture.
Until next time.
See ya.
Bye.